Everybody, this is third in my series about the NAR settlement, National Association of Realtors, and what it means going forward. And this video is going to be focused on sellers. When sellers have engaged a seller's agent to help them sell their house, negotiation has always been part of that initial listing meeting. And, most of the time, um, that fee was usually 6%. There are cases where it gets negotiated down to say 5%, but it's usually in that range. Technically, there is no standard. There's no requirement. So somebody could sell your house for $1 for you. Somebody you could do it and take 10%. But a lot of it is based on what type of services they're going to provide you, um, and your belief that they can get you the best possible price on the market. That doesn't change here with the NAR settlement. But what does change is often baked into that fee, which, like I said, was usually around 5 or 6%, was some amount of compensation that was going to be given to a buyer's agent. Back when buyer's agency was created in the 90s, the theory was that prior to that, sellers agents really only represented the seller and buyers were completely unrepresented. And it was easy for a buyer to potentially be taken advantage of if they didn't understand what they were doing. So effectively, the job of a realtor was split into two. Sellers agents focused on the needs of the sellers, staging the house, marketing the house, making sure they were going to get the best price for their sellers, negotiating terms, etc. And buyers were really focused on the needs of the buyer, right? Finding the types of houses that they were looking for, negotiating the best possible price with the seller, ensuring that the buyer's rights were being met. And so, in many ways, that compensation, which was still, in the same range prior to the introduction of buyer's agency, got split into two. And so, often about half of a seller's agent's compensation was being given to the buyer's agents through the offer of compensation field in the MLS, which is what's going away as a result of this lawsuit. So now, as a seller, you could negotiate a lower price and not offer a buyer's agent compensation. And I think in a lot of cases that will happen. Maybe you get a seller's agent who's willing to sell your house now for 3%. There's two real potential impacts here. One, for buyers now, when they see your house listed, let's say your house is listed for $200,000. Before that really included any agency fee for them. Now it doesn't. Meaning, for them, it says 200,000, but they're going to pay the buyer's agent potentially another, 2 or 3%. They may pay them another $5,000. So now that house is really costing them 205,000. You say, okay, well, it's fine. I don't want to pay that money. And that makes a lot of sense. But the other issue there is some of these buyers may choose not to get a buyer's agent. If that is the case, the work of selling your home and showing it when people want to see it is going to fall back on the seller's agent. Meaning seller's agents, if you're not making an offer of compensation to the buyer, may not be willing to do it for as cheap as you think, because now they're back to the way it was prior to the introduction of buyer's agency, all right, where they may have to do the full job of the seller's agent and the buyer's agent, at least for those people who did not hire buyer's agents. And so that makes the negotiation a little bit more complex when it comes to sellers and sellers agents. Certainly, it seems more straightforward when the buyers are paying their own buyer's agent. But now for a seller's agent, there may be some concern about those buyers who don't hire an agent and how much more work they have to do in order to sell your home. As always, if you have questions about the topics in this video or anything regarding real estate, please feel free to give me a call, 484-442-0295.